Hi, I'm Trina Celeste Limper, and I am here to show you how this game-changing emotion AI platform is going to alter everything you're doing for team communication, outreach, sales, marketing, and really how AI is tying us back to our humanity a lot more than I've ever seen. And so I wanted to show this platform, and we're doing an offer right now. We'll do a pilot and demo for your team. So I wanted to get this out to you, have you take a look at it, make you aware of it. But the platform is Crystal AI, and we've been implementing these for a number of different clients. The one of the main ones is really looking at donor outreach for higher education. How can we get more responses? And the key is understanding their personality and understanding how they may respond. A lot of times we want to communicate how we like to be communicated. It's leadership 101, right? Of understanding that other people that we're working with like to have things different. We like to hear things in different ways. And this became very real when I first logged in and started using the tool and getting familiar. It pulled up my personality, and I knew these things, but seeing it in real life as far as how brusque I can be, how driven, how fast I move. And it was giving tips and pointers for how I need to adjust my preferences by understanding the preferences of the other person. You want to understand the person behind the name, behind what you assume they like to be, or assume how you like to communicate. And so it's going to give you a very clear understanding who that person is, what they're interested in, what they'd want to hear, but also the do's and don'ts, which I love. Do not do this. If you're this personality type, we're going to go through some of those things. So as you get started, and I'm going to throw the QR code up here for everyone to be able to get this. If you go to crystalknows.com/rise next, you're going to get this page. And when you pull it up, there's a couple different ways. You can log into the actual site and pull a profile. We'll walk through that process in a moment. But there's also a really nice plugin that we're going to talk about that sits on top of LinkedIn and in your browser. If you're just browsing in LinkedIn and you want to pull it, it does a really beautiful sidebar with all of their personality traits, the email do, don't. And if you've got a very specific outreach that you're doing, you're going into negotiation, you're going to pricing negotiation, that's where you want to make sure that you're getting the clarity in how you want to communicate. Also, I don't know about you, but anytime I go into a cold call and you just start saying, hey, I'm trying to tell you as much information about what I think you need to hear, but we need to stop and listen, but also the cadence, the tone, the style, the message points are all going to be altered based on who that person is. So what Crystal AI does is takes their digital footprint that's out there, and it allows you to be able to see how they like to be communicated. So that first one should be a lot more engaging if we are communicating in the way that we know they want to be listened to and heard, and what messages. For me, I like a lot of facts, data points, just get to the point. Somebody that repeats themselves or goes off on a story, I start shutting down. I don't like that. But other people, that is what they do. They want to hear the story, the message, the emotion, right side of it. Not to say that I'm not emotional. I can be if I want to. But it's definitely, for me, if I'm going to be making a decision, I want it based more on facts. So you better have your facts in there when you're putting it together. So in this platform, I'm going to switch over. So I have a profile library of my team. We've been going through an exercise of being able to understand how our team dynamics might change based on this information. But I'm going to just go to my own profile. We'll expose myself to this as well, of how I like to be communicated with versus someone else. So let me just go to profile. And you don't have to have somebody fill out this profile. You just give them a LinkedIn URL, and within less than a second, you've got all of their information. And it's really amazing how spot on this is. 88% of the time, it's correct. So my personality profile here is a D, captain. Anybody familiar with the DISC profile, that would be in here. And it says Trina tends to be motivated by competition and results. That's very true. They are likely to be a skilled, pragmatic enforcer who focuses on achievement and success and can help those around them accomplish their goals. How fun is that, knowing that it's not just me? The work I'm doing at Tech Moms, I want everybody to be successful, right? That definitely fits real well within my wheelhouse and within my map. Decisive, fast-paced, assertive. I sometimes have to catch myself and slow down, make sure I'm bringing everybody along with me. That definitely has been something I've seen throughout my career where I've had to change that. And so as you look at this model, you can even highlight and see the other personality types that are along the wheel, the whole DISC model. And so it's doing this based on the information that you've put out, messaging, your history of your work history, all of that data, messages that's being pulled in to be able to determine your profile. I've been doing this a while. I've only had one that didn't come back. And it was interesting. She said, yeah, I post a different personality or side of me than I actually am. And so that was what it's going to pick up on. You can also send these to individuals and have them take it and take the assessments. But where it gets really interesting is when you get down into the traits of their personality traits. You can see I'm pretty down the middle. I'm not one side or another. This is not good or bad, but risk tolerant versus risk averse. In some ways, I'm very risk tolerant. Probably made a lot of bad decisions because of that from a financial perspective, but I can take on a lot of risk, or a lot of times I can be risk averse. It just depends on the scenario. But trusting versus skeptical, optimistic versus pragmatic, deliberate versus fast-paced, matter of fact versus expressive, autonomous to collaborative, and supporting and dominant. Kind of down the middle. As we get into some of these other profiles and as you go through, you start to see and notice those that might be a little more dominant versus a supporting type personality. So when you're hiring, you can identify, is this somebody that would fit really well within the role you're expecting? And so a lot of times in your hiring teams, using this type of platform to be able to identify potential candidates. And as you're interviewing and asking questions, it's nice to have some of this information at your fingertips to be able to validate their behaviors. So you can kind of key things like setting ambition goals for others. That is something I definitely do. Working independently to meet a deadline, getting angsty if a conversation lasts too long. That is very true. Enjoying argument and debate. My sons would say I don't. They're Beckering. I don't know. I'll keep debating that one, I guess. But energizers. I love professional growth. I love developing, taking on new challenges, competing and winning. I love to win, but taking charge and making things happen. But drainers for me, following inflexible rules, tangents unrelated to the main conversation, show a slow pace of work, and people blindly supporting others, not understanding what their results are to be or why, and just doing stuff. I call it wishy-washy. I actually write about it in my book. Being wishy-washy, don't do that. You get down into strengths, having a high tolerance for risk. Like I said, I can take on a lot of risk. Making really bold decisions, committed to decisions quickly, persistently pursuing important goals, and motivating others with ambition. What my blind spots? Oh, let's see. Working with a sense of urgency that may cause others unnecessary stress. And that is something I've had to recognize, is that I go sometimes with such a sense of urgency, I forget to bring everybody along with me. And that can create some anxiety and misunderstanding if I haven't explained why or where or what we're doing and when. Have trouble accepting another person's authority. We'll think on that one. And may have a hard time working in a supporting role. Um, Sometimes, if it's the right leader, it doesn't feel that way. I do not mind working in a supporting role. It's more of who I am supporting, and love that. Making changes quickly and decisively, potentially disrupting the work of others. Do pivot quick, and very, very true. So, when you're communicating with me, these are things that you could expect. Expect to receive feedback. Don't be thrown off by blunt comments. I don't think I say anything rude, but maybe a little blunt. Yeah, I get to the point. Explain how you're helping them achieve their goals, make an effort to focus on the conversation, and make an effort to really align the conversation to what we're going and what we're going to get out of it. And how you build trust with me. Assert yourself with confidence. Get to the bottom line. Expect the conversation to move quick, and don't be afraid to disagree. I like alternative thinking. And let's say you're doing a product demo. What should you do? If you're negotiating with me, what should you do? All of these things are coming if I'm in a pricing discussion, how to get me to take action. It's just basically your sales pitch playbook guide in being able to get somebody to work with you. And how powerful is that to have that in your hands within seconds before jumping on a call? It's really powerful. And I've been doing this, and it does change the dynamics of how people respond to me, how much more they're engaged they are, how much quicker I get to a follow-up or an action or a decision, because I'm having to stop and recognize my limitations and how I'm communicating, and now how I can move that out to someone else. So by doing that, and within the tool, you can then take other frameworks. Discs are there by default. You can take other assessments or have your team. If you're doing this as an exercise within your team, we do a lot of leadership development and coaching. Reach out to us if you're doing your next leadership session. This should be part of it. Not just take the test and walk away. This should be part of how you're working in the future. Anytime you're delivering performance review, those are always really challenging. Are you delivering it in a way that that teammate might be more receptive to the feedback that you're giving? And it helps you reframe all of these different things. But there's other personality types in here. But what I wanted to share is, like, if you were going into a meeting or an email, it's going to guide you on how to structure that call and that email. And there's more in here in the platform. We'll come back to it later. But this is extremely helpful as you start to prepare and make your mindset shift. I've done a lot of training on emotional intelligence. And one of the biggest challenges is, first, you're self-aware, right? What I just went through and learned about myself, but then becoming more intentionally aware of another person and what their needs are and how they might work and how I should be working with them. That's pure EQ. That's not something, sometimes you can get that just naturally through the years you've learned to adapt, and you can recognize body language or other things, but do you really know? You're making a lot of assumptions. This gives you the hard facts and data, and actually coaches you how to interact with another person. It also can do it in teams. So if it has there's a calendar integration, and if you have 5 people on a call, it will give you the dynamics of all the personalities on that call and how to address that. Fabulous. So what we've been doing, let me just move over here. I'm going to show, first of all, in LinkedIn, if you move over here, I just pulled up Donald Trump Jr. just for fun and pulled his profile based on that. He is a DI driver, so it's best to speak with high energy and answer questions directly. Use an energetic, assertive tone. Focus on more high-level summaries rather than the deep dive on specific questions, and highlight competitive advantages. Now, what you should not do, don't give an in-depth product descriptions without explaining the bottom line impact. Don't be overly friendly. Be assertive. Push back when you need to. Don't focus on risk or downside. Prioritize the potential upside, right? Always like, what are you going to get? What's the value driver coming back to you? Don't sugarcoat or use vague, overly optimistic language to describe the value of your product. Be very succinct and direct. Now, if you were to do another personality type, probably very different. It would be very different. So let's go to, let's see, who have we got in here? Let's go to, I'm going to pick, because I already have this here. This is one of our leadership coaches that's on the team, and this is her profile. So she's a certified career coach. She's been working with me, and we're upskilling her programming into utilizing this for leadership coaches and letting training on how to do this. So with her, she's an influencer, right? A very different personality type. So personable, engaging tone. You move quickly towards a solution. You can see the very much a different approach from Donald Trump Jr. and Tennille Taylor, right? What you do is keep the conversation focused and aimed on the specific outcome. Use visual aids, use graphics. You may not do that with Donald, but don't place focus on an outdated procedure over focusing on the future possibility, and don't overfill the call with lots of analysis and data before setting high-level vision. Now, here's where it gets tricky. What if you've got both people on a call? You're going to have to balance in giving both of them what they need, and in order to feel like they're engaged and seeing the future vision of what's being done. So really helpful when you're going into call and you've got two different polar opposite personalities that are maybe making decisions on the same engagement, understanding what they need and being able to tailor all of the different deliverables, outcomes, information sheets, all. You might even have your data sheets tailored. One of the things that I've built over time is I build a custom GPT that incorporates behavioral economics so that I can tailor my presentations, my speaking, any kind of marketing materials so that I can make it more persuasive and make my call to actions much, much stronger. I take that and I build now these personalities in it. Super powerful. Your communication becomes so much stronger. Now, what's nice here as well is if you're running on HubSpot or on Salesforce, we can build this into your system. So you've got an API integration that makes it just right there as you're making your sales calls and you're logging the outcomes. Your messaging, your email messaging, everything would be right there. A way to work around that if you're not on one of those two platforms is you can use ChatGPT. And I'm currently in a pilot right now in a higher education institution where they're using this to tailor their donor outreach for fundraising. And for our nonprofit, I've been using it to tailor my messaging, like if I need to be very succinct or if I need to tell a story or what is the right messaging, not just a blanket one I send to everybody. It needs to be personalized to that individual. So in ChatGPT, you can create different messages. So I'm going to have it, I've uploaded the 3 personalities. These are people from my team, and say, write, to type correctly, write 3 separate messages based on profiles. All right, let's see what that produces there. So this is our program manager. We have a placement, and then myself. We did this as an exercise as we went through with the team on understanding how should we communicate within our team. How do we like to? It was really fun to do it within the team and understanding. So you can see Marianne, tone, warm, expressive, and uplifting. So here's how it came through. Join the movement that's changing women's lives throughout tech. And hi, Marianne. We love connecting with women who bring energy and creativity to everything they touch. So, of course, you came to mind. Playing it up a little bit there. Then, if you move to Sarah, thoughtful, calm, and relationship focused, let's empower more women together, one step at a time. I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out on behalf. And you can see how it's tailored. Our success story often begin with the simple acts of support, someone like you, right? And it's making it tailored into how that she already feels part of it in that message, not just like, hey, you should come work with us. Not sure why, but okay. Now where I'm more direct, efficient, and results oriented, you can see the language has gotten a little harder. Partner with tech moms, real results, real impact. Like I want that real thing. And it's just you can see it includes the actual data of tech moms is transforming women's careers through fast-tracked upskilling and workforce and reentry over 80%. This is something that actually worked for me. And it's interesting, it showed up here again. When I first got involved with Utah Valley University, we were doing a Women's Success Center fundraiser, and I ended up joining the board because they told me 76% of women are dropping out of college. And I said, that's not okay. What can I do? And that's what grabbed me. And it was based on how I respond, what's going to get me engaged. And I'm seeing it again here. It's including those, I like data, right? And so, and playing to me as well as you would be an incredible ally driving scalable change. Can we set up a 15-minute call? Just very direct, right? And so you can see just the prompt that I gave up at the top was it said the same thing. We just want to get them involved and support and all of these things, but we want to tailor it to who they are. But how do you know who they are? You go to Rise Next and you get Crystal AI. We give you this plugin, or you work with us, and we can help in helping you set up a go-to-market profiling campaign, or get it introduced into your tools so that you can really start making that human connection. Incredibly powerful. I wanted to share that everybody with tonight. I'm sitting in my pajamas, just wanted to get the message out. But love the work that we're doing when it comes to really creating great future leaders. As I say, AI is not a tech initiative. It is a people initiative. Focusing on the people, focusing on how we can connect better, and leveraging this emotion AI that's coming out is going to be how you are going to upskill all of your marketing, your sales, your customer interactions, your team interactions. It's a game changer. So reach out to me. We'll get some information out here with some QR codes, and can reach out to us at risenext.com, or you can email info@risenext.com. That's rizenext.com. And we look forward to talking to you.